Most people think flow is some kind of magic, that feeling where the work moves through you, where you're completely absorbed, where an hour passes and feels like 10 minutes. They assume it belongs to a certain kind of person, the elite athlete, the world-class musician, the rare genius who was simply built for it. That belief is wrong, and it's quietly costing you. Flow isn't magic. It's not a gift handed to a lucky few at birth. Decades of research point to something far more useful. Flow is the result of specific, repeatable conditions, which means it's not something you wait around to be blessed with. It's something you can set up on purpose.
All right, I'm gonna do it.
The same deep focus a chess master falls into, or a surgeon, or a writer who forgets to eat, is available to you. Not because you're special, but because the conditions are learnable. Let me walk you through how it actually works, and how to enter it almost on command. Flow isn't a vague idea someone invented online. It's been studied for decades. A psychologist named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi spent his career researching what he called optimal experience, the moments when people feel most alive and most absorbed in what they're doing. And what he found is that flow isn't random. It shows up reliably when certain conditions line up. Here's the simplest way to picture it. Imagine sitting down at a piano. If the song is far too easy, you drift. Your mind wanders, you get bored, you check out. If the song is far beyond you, the opposite happens. You get tense, frustrated, and you want to quit. But when the song is just hard enough to stretch you, and still just within your reach, something clicks. You disappear into it. That's flow. You've already felt a version of this, probably without noticing. Think about why a good video game's so absorbing. It's almost engineered to hold you in flow. The difficulty rises exactly as your skill rises. The goals are clear, the feedback's instant. The challenge always sits right at the edge of what you can handle. That's the same formula running quietly underneath the fun. So the myth is that flow is rare, mystical, reserved for the gifted. The truth is quieter and far more encouraging. Flow is systematic, it repeats, and it's available to anyone who understands the conditions.
I understand now.
Let me show you what those conditions actually are. There are 5 of them. If you miss one, flow tends to slip away. Line them all up and it starts to arrive on its own. The first's a clear, specific goal. Your mind doesn't respond well to vagueness.
Can you be more specific?
I'm going to work on my project isn't a goal, it's foggy. I'm going to write the opening 200 words of the introduction is a goal. It's sharp, and it gives your attention something to hold on to. Flow needs focus, and focus needs a target. Before you begin, decide the one concrete thing you're actually doing and keep it in front of you. The second is the balance between challenge and skill. This is the heart of the whole thing. If it's too easy, you're bored. If it's too hard, you're anxious. But in the narrow band between them, stretched but not overwhelmed, flow lives. Here's a rough test. If the task feels like about a 7 out of 10 in difficulty, you're close. Hard enough to demand your full attention, not so hard that you freeze. The third's removing distraction. Flow is fragile, especially at the start. A single notification can pull you out, and climbing back in can take far longer than the interruption itself. So you make it hard to be interrupted. Put your phone away, not just face down. Tabs closed. Noise handled. Think of it as building a quiet wall around your attention for a set stretch of time, and then defending it. The fourth is ritual and environment. Your brain runs on cues. It's why musicians have a warm-up, and athletes have a routine they repeat before every game. You can borrow the same trick, a small action you do every single time, right before you begin. Making the same cup of coffee, putting on the same music with no words, clearing the desk in the same order. Do it consistently enough, and the ritual itself starts telling your brain quietly that it's time to focus. The fifth is a reason that belongs to you. Flow feeds on meaning. When you're only doing something because someone told you to, it's harder to sink into it. But when you can connect the task to something you actually care about, your own growth, your curiosity, the life you're trying to build, the resistance drops and the focus comes easier. If you put those 5 together, you'd have built the ground that flow grows in. But knowing the ingredients isn't the same as knowing how to begin. So let me give you the actual sequence. Think of this as a launch sequence. The same steps in the same order every time. Step 1. Decide, before you sit down, exactly what you're doing. One clear goal. Then clear the space around it. Silence your phone. Close the extra tabs. Choose how long you're going to go. 30 minutes, 60, 90, and commit to that block. Step 2. Do your small ritual, the one that signals the start. 3 slow breaths. Opening the notebook and writing the date. The same first song. It genuinely doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that it's always the same, so that over time your brain learns that this small act means focus is beginning. Step 3. Don't wait to feel motivated and don't wait to feel ready. You'll almost never feel ready, and waiting for it is how whole days quietly disappear. Instead, take the smallest possible action. Write 1 sentence. Solve 1 line of the problem. Make 1 mark. Momentum is the thing you're after. And momentum starts with something almost embarrassingly small. Step 4. Once you've started, protect single tasking like it matters, because it does. No switching, no quick checking of anything. Stay with the one task even while it still feels clumsy and slow. Because here's what most people never learn. Flow rarely shows up in the first minute. It usually arrives somewhere after the 10 or 15-minute mark. If you keep bailing at minute 3, you never reach it. Stay, and it'll come. Step 5. Stop before you're empty. This is the step almost everyone gets wrong. When it's going well, the temptation is to ride it until you crash. Don't do that. Stop while you've still got something left, and leave a thread hanging on purpose, a sentence unfinished, or even a problem half solved.
I will finish it later.
That loose thread is a gift to the version of you who sits down tomorrow, because you'll pick it straight back up and drop into focus far faster than starting cold. The sequence is simple, but repeat it enough times and your brain begins to slip into flow almost on its own. There's one more piece, and it's the one almost no one talks about: recovery. Most people assume the way to get more flow is to push harder, grind longer, stay locked in for as many hours as possible. But flow doesn't work like that, and treating it that way is exactly how people burn out. Flow is a peak state, and every peak depends on the valley next to it. When you're deep in focus, your brain leans hard on its own chemistry. The system's tied to drive, attention, and reward. That's part of why it feels so good, but those systems aren't endless. They draw down and they need time to refill. Push through that without rest, and you don't just slow down, you break down. So here's the part that sounds backwards but is true. Recovery isn't the opposite of flow. It's what makes flow possible again. Sleep is where your brain resets and quietly lays down the wiring that makes deep focus easier the next time. Movement, even just a walk, clears out the tension and gets your nervous system ready to concentrate again. Even boredom has a purpose. Those empty, unstimulated moments are when your attention actually recharges. It's not an accident that your best ideas tend to arrive in the shower, on a walk, or in those minutes before you fall asleep. Treat recovery as charging the very thing that powers your focus. If you skip it, you'll burn out long before you ever reach the zone. Respect it, build in real cycles of rest and focus, and flow stops being something you chase. It becomes something that keeps returning a little more easily each time. Because in the long run, it's not the people who grind the hardest in a single stretch who win. It's the ones who stay in the game long enough to find flow again, and again, and again. Up to now, we've talked about flow as a tool, a way to get more done, focus harder, feel better while you work. But it's bigger than that. Done consistently, flow doesn't just improve your output, it slowly changes the texture of your life. Think about how most days actually go. Half working, half scrolling. Never fully in the work, never fully at rest. Present for almost none of it. Days like that blur together, and at the end of them, it's hard to point at anything that felt real. But when you start stacking flow sessions, something shifts. Your days stop feeling scattered. You begin measuring time less by the hours that slipped away and more by the stretches where you were completely there. Instead of life happening somewhere just past you, you're inside it, and it compounds. Every time you enter flow, you train your attention to prefer depth over distraction, which makes the next session easier. Your confidence grows quietly, because you keep proving to yourself that you can sit with something hard and come out the other side. And a sense of meaning grows with it, because flow ties you to the simple, deep satisfaction of getting better at something. It doesn't have to stay locked to work either. The same conditions create flow in a workout where the effort takes over and the time vanishes. In a conversation where you're so present that the other person feels genuinely met. In anything creative where the ideas arrive faster than you can catch them. Even in ordinary things. A walk, cooking, a hobby, all of it can become flow when you set it up right. So yes, flow makes you more productive, but the deeper point is that it makes your life feel fuller and more like you were actually there for it. Because the real aim is not just to enter flow a little more often, it's to slowly build a life where deep focus is the normal state and distraction is the exception. So let me bring it back to something simple. Flow isn't random, and it isn't reserved for the gifted. It's systematic. Set a clear goal. Match the challenge to your skill. Remove the distractions. Repeat a consistent ritual. Protect the focus once you're in it, and build in real recovery so you can do it again. That's the whole formula. Sit with how much would change if focus weren't a fight you lose most days, but a state you could quietly step into whenever you chose. There's one honest catch worth naming. All of this depends on being able to hold your attention long enough to reach flow in the first place. And for a lot of people, that's exactly the part that's gotten hard. That is worth its own conversation, and it's where the real work usually begins.